Getting ready to put some bearings in a motor here, CMB 67. I thought I'd do a quick little video. I had a fast club member, Mark Stein, ask about this. I was trying to explain to him over the phone, but you know, it's pretty difficult to do that. So I thought maybe a quick video would help. Anyway, I'm going to try these new ceramic hybrid bearings I got from CBR out of California. They use Surbeck C5 balls. They take NTN and Nachi, if I remember right, races and reball them to, they test them for the high side of a C3 fit. I talked to the owner there, he seemed pretty good, so no snake oil involved in that, whatever. He seemed to know what he was talking about, pretty legit, so I thought I'd give him a try. Of course, the first thing to do, slide that rear bearing on the crank with the balls facing back, of course, so they get the most amount of lube. And heat up the case. I use a torch. Put them in the oven. Put the case in the oven as well if you wanted. To 250 degrees. I want to heat up the area of the rear bearing to start. Hot, I don't know. Wet your finger. Feel it there, yeah, that's hot enough. Take your oven mitts, put the crank with the rear bearing, just slide right in there. I use a little piece of wood to hold the crank up in there. Keep the front stub exposed. You can use a socket or anything else. You're going to heat the area of the front bearing up. Nice and warm. Front bearing goes on with the balls facing aft, of course, get the most lube. And it should go right on there. It should slide right in. If it doesn't, and it cocks, then you have to stop because it's cocked, pull it apart, knock it out, and start over. There, we've got the bearings in there. And what I do, pull the crank out. Made up these little tools, I guess you call them, bearing seaters. You've got to make sure the bearings are seated properly in the case. They've got to be right down to the bottom of the pockets, or you won't get the crank in the right position, or the end play won't be right. So I made these little things up. You can use some sockets, find some sockets that are the OD of the size of the OD of the rear bearing. I just put those in there. My little lock there, give it a little tap, seats the bearings. What I've been doing lately is putting a little green Loctite or 638 or 620 is another one on the crank in the area of the rear bearing, hopefully to fix that inner race to the crank, keep it from spinning on there and that causing extra heat. So just put a little bit of, very small amount, Loctite on there. Make sure you get it just where the inner race is. At this point as well, you can put a little bit of blue on the threads at the end there. Slide the crank back in. And the flywheel already, I like to index the collet there, so I put a little mark and I put it in the same position all the time. Also, I don't know if you notice, I like to turn down the caul a little bit so that it's got a little step that just matches the front bearing, so that it doesn't rub on the cage or the seal if you have a seal there. Just put that on there in that position. And trying these Speedmaster collets now, I found them very good, very accurate. I've turned them down a little bit. I thought they were a little long. It wouldn't fit in my tight setup there, so I also put a little bit of anti-seize on the face so it doesn't gall up when it meets the flywheel. Just put that on there. Hand tighten it up. A little trick I learned over the years, instead of putting pins in the flywheel there and wallering out those holes and everything, stick a piece of wood down in the case and get the crank against the crank pin there. You can see that. Then you can really tighten up the flywheel. Just moved a little on me there where I wanted it, and you can really get a wrench on it, and you can really tighten it up good. That lets loose, it's a mess. You can really put some torque on it. Take that out and do a little bit of end play there, what you want. Should spin absolutely free and just rock back and forth like there's nothing to it. As it cools, that end play will reduce a little bit. If it gets tight so there's no end play, sometimes you can tap the end of the collet there, and then you'll feel the end play. I guess it just releases the front bearing, but that's about it. You let it cool naturally, and you're done.